It's beginning to feel a bit like Christmas everywhere you go. Okay, so I went to see Wish, and I wish that it was a better film. But I didn't hate it, okay? Now, I know loads of people are going to lay into it, and they're going to say you could pretty much call it woke instead of Wish. The W's there, call it woke. But I try to remove that to an extent. I will go into that. I will say why it's absolutely fucking stupid, this whole woke nonsense, especially in a movie like this. And I've got to say, this drove me nuts, right? It just drove me nuts. I opened a newspaper, I think it was the Metro, and they had the movie review section. And the first line of a movie review for Wish, the first line said, I was going into the movie theatre and a little girl who was between 7 and 8 years old said to her mother as she was going in, Mum, how come all Disney princesses look the same and are the same race? And the review carried on and said, a very astute observation for a child. And I was like, fucking liars. Like, I just instantly closed the paper and I was like, that is such a fucking lie. No child said that going into the cinema. Total lie. First of all, these journalists who get the pre-tickets go into screenings with other journalists, right? They usually are not there with a bunch of 8-year-olds, but it's just total nonsense propaganda that a child walked into this film thinking that. And then the other thing is that the main character in Wish is not a princess, right? There is a princess in the movie, and she's white. So fucking, it's like, great, yeah, well done. But it was just so dumb. I was like, that anyone who grew up with Disney, which is most of us, that is just not a conversation that 8-year-olds have. I don't fucking care. It's just a fucking lie. Someone got paid to write it. I've known journalists personally. I know 2 of them. My brother was paid to be a journalist. They do get fucking told to lie. They do have their stuff edited. Someone's trying to say, you should really go and see this movie because it's diverse and multicultural and it's going to educate your children. Even though children don't even notice race because they're not fucking racist. Kids are not born racist. They're not. Kids aren't racist. So stupid. Anyway, look, we'll go into that, but I don't want to... so it's so annoying. I don't want to emphasize that because a Disney film, even a CGI one, because I always think Disney's 2D, it's just the famous stuff is the 2D stuff, but unless it's Pixar, but it feels unfinished for one thing, but I'd still like to credit the artists because they have to work so hard, right? The scripts that they get, the direction that they get, that's their job. You get these people who are unbelievable artists. They work so hard. They work for years and years on these movies. And I feel sorry for them because it's like, if you're going to put all that talent in something, really you should put it in something better than this. But credit to them for that, because even though the film looks to me very unfinished, some of it almost looks like a PlayStation 2 game, like a PlayStation 2 cut sequence. Very, very poor, really. I mean, the CGI is about the level of television CGI. Things like the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon and stuff, and certain ways they do CG on TV, and it really looks like that. And I imagine it was rushed to get it out in time for Christmas. So the CGI is really not that impressive in comparison to Pixar and something like Coco and whatever. This is just no way visually there at all. It's very, very mediocre in that regard. But the story is good, okay? The story is a really nice idea. The idea that people have their wishes essentially stolen from them. And at one point, I was thinking to myself, this is quite an interesting story because it's almost anti-capitalist. It's almost as if that slipped through the net. And I wonder if the big people behind the shadows kind of, who were like, yes, we're going to make a film about blah, 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 really noticed that at a certain point, the film does feel like they're saying, listen, the system you live in will eventually steal your dreams. And you have to do everything you can to hold on to them. But it kind of makes out, because it's the king stealing them, it is kind of making a statement that is quite anti-capitalist if you just look a little bit beneath the surface, and that's kind of interesting. But one thing stuck out to me like a sore thumb. Now, I know this review is going all over the place, right? It just is. That's just how it is. Sometimes it's like a bomb going off. We just got to follow the threads, the debris. Anyway, so one thing I couldn't not think about whilst watching the film is that there was a children's cartoon in the 90s called Peter Pan and the Pirates. And it's actually a very good cartoon. Some of the episodes were high budget, some were lower budget. That's just how cartoons were back then. Some were animated in Japan. They looked amazing. Others not so. And I think they made about 25 episodes of that series, maybe 30 or something. And it was a good show. It was not Disney's Peter Pan, but it was Peter Pan and the Pirates, and it was good. And it had one episode when Peter Pan, and by the way, I haven't seen it since I was a child, but I never forgot it because it was such a good story. But Peter Pan finds this person who's been capturing the dreams of people. To my memory, the dreams of children, but the dreams of people. And he lives out in the ocean, and he has this space, like almost like a volcano that stopped erupting, like within a space like that. And he's got these blue orbs, which are people's dreams, and he's stolen them from people. And Peter Pan's looking inside them, and he's seeing the dreams of all of these people, and they don't get to fulfill their dreams because they've been stolen from them. And I loved that story, and I loved that idea. And watching this film, I was like, they've just stolen this whole movie from that episode of Peter Pan. And rather than call them dreams, they've just called them wishes. And I really feel like someone fucking stole this whole movie without crediting it. And one of the reasons I think it, and I still think it's a great idea, but one of the reasons I feel like it was stolen is because there's a moment at the end of the film, and it doesn't give anything away, where a character says, like, never give up on your wish. And it's so off. It's like no one says that. No one says never give up on your wishes. Never let go of your wishes. Because a wish is, we all know, it doesn't take long to know that, like, a wish is just a wish. It's not really something that you work towards and you strive to achieve. Whereas a dream is. To say to somebody never give up on your dreams means never give up. Get up. Get out of bed. Go do it. Achieve it. Knock on whatever doors you have to knock on to achieve that dream. But a wish is just like, oh, I really wish. Like Chandler Bing says in the first episode of Friends, and I just won $1 million. Like, that's a wish. So it's kind of silly. Whereas in the Peter Pan cartoon, the whole thing is the dreams are stolen. And in this, it sort of felt in that one line like they wanted to say dreams, never give up on your dreams, but they were like, we have to change it to wish. Anyway, it's a good idea. It's a good story. It's a nice film in some ways for kids, but it's not a good film. It's fucking boring in many ways. Because from the very beginning, you know exactly what's going to happen. You know within about 30 seconds that the king is going to be a bad guy. And he is, because that's revealed in 2 minutes. I'm not spoiling it. It's instantly revealed. And as soon as it's revealed, it's like, now what? Now what? Are we just going to sit here for an hour and a half and wait for this to resolve itself and you to give everybody their dreams back? So it gets so bland that I fell asleep in the middle of the film. And I actually fell asleep for like 25 minutes. And when I woke up, I hadn't missed anything. I'd missed nothing of the story. And that's really bad. Like, when you really think about it, if you compare it to certain other Disney films and things like The Jungle Book and even the later ones like The Lion King, but Snow White and stuff, it's amazing. Like Snow White, the whole movie takes place in one house and you wouldn't want to miss any of it. But this is like, can go anywhere and do anything, and it's like, it's all kind of meaningless. Now, I have to speak about the woke stuff and the multiculturalism, and it's so annoying because one thing that they do, Disney currently, is they actually defeat their own point in such an unbelievably ironic way. Meaning that they make a point of going, look, we've put like every race and every culture on the screen, so now you feel represented. But the problem is it's like you've made everyone into their own stereotypes because no one has enough screen time to actually be a fucking personality. Like every single character is pretty much a stereotype, even if they're just like a modern generic American girl type stereotype, like one of the friend characters seems to be. They still have no time to be anything but a stereotype. Whereas if you have a cast of characters and there's only like 2 or 3 or even 4, and they just are whoever they are, but it's not like, oh, there's an Italian and there's a black girl and there's a French girl and there's a Spanish girl and there's an English girl and that, whatever. It's just, if it's just a small group of characters, then they have an opportunity to be human rather than cartoon cutouts. It's crazy to watch this film and think like Pinocchio was a wooden boy. He was wooden, right? Made by Geppetto, fucking Italian, right? And now they're like, oh, we need to make sure everyone's represented and the Italian, the Spanish. It's like, he was wooden and he was more human, right? Before he became a real boy, he's still more human. And it's a bizarre thing because they make out like, look, because your ethnicity and your race is on the screen, you're represented. But it's like, that's not how it works. That's a complete lie. And the reason it's a lie is because you could have a film about one person, man or woman, and it doesn't matter the race, okay? If there's a movie starring a black guy and he's the only person who talks in the whole film and it's 95 minutes long and all it is his thoughts as he goes through his everyday life, right? No one else has a word of dialogue. Chances are men all over the world will watch it, so long as it's honest and he's telling the truth. They will watch it and be like, yes, I relate to that. I know how that feels. That's me. I'm him, he's me, we're all one. Because that's how humanity is. It's about, if you can articulate your honest thoughts well enough, then you put it out into the world so that other people go, I feel like that. I know how it feels to not want to wake up. I know how it feels to do a job I don't feel like doing. I know how it feels to feel a certain way in a certain social situation. I know how it feels to do the right thing and sometimes not want to do the right thing, but you do it anyway. I know how it doesn't matter the race. The whole point is that if you put somebody on the screen, i.e. a fucking wooden boy, but he's sincere in his trying to you know, be human, then the whole world relates to it. And that's what the heart of these stories should be. Look at Toy Story. They're fucking toys. They're not even real people. And you still look at it and go, I fucking relate to those people more. I can relate to Woody or Buzz or even Rex, a nervous plastic dinosaur, because of the humanity within it that's sincere. They don't need to be an ethnicity or a race or a certain culture being represented. It's just ridiculous. It's like they've completely and totally missed that. And in trying to represent everybody becomes so one-dimensional that they become stereotypes anyway. And it's really annoying. Now, that's a bit of a rant on the woke thing. I liked the main girl in the film. She was the best part, which is great. But the thing is there's plenty of room in animated films like The Jungle Book to have all the characters be great. Well, even the snake is great in The Jungle Book. Like, yeah, you get Baloo and he's fantastic, and you get Bagheera and he's fantastic, and you get Mowgli who's fantastic, and even the snake is fantastic, and the villain is fantastic. Like, you don't have to just go, yeah, the lead girl is great. Now, here's the thing. Now we're going to talk about the villain. Chris Pine. Chris fucking Pine, right, plays the king. And this stuff drives me up the wall. Because as soon as the film introduces the king, he starts talking like, whose voice is that? I know that voice. Whose voice is it? And then for like a few minutes, I'm not enjoying the film at all because I'm trying to place the voice. And I'm like, whoever it is, he's not doing a cartoon character. He's just playing himself. And it's like, it's Chris Pine. It's Chris Pine, the guy who was in the new Star Trek, right? Chris fucking Pine. And then I'm picturing Chris Pine for the rest of the movie. And it's awful to do that. It's an absolute embarrassment, and it's like an insult, and it's worse than it. There's a better word there somewhere, I can't think of it. It's literally like an attack on the art form, okay? Because voice actors are skilled people or talented people or whatever, lucky people. If you're on the cast of The Simpsons getting $250,000 a week for 2 hours of work, but they are people who can play multiple characters and whatever behind the screen, right? And hearing a voice actor like Chris Pine is horrendous because it's like you're playing a cartoon, right? I know it's a king. Why not play him differently? Why not do a voice where we don't recognize Chris Pine? Now, I know that Hollywood, to an extent, are going, listen, we want people to know it's you because you're a name, so people might come and see it just because you're in it. Fine. So put his name on the poster. Put his face on the poster. I don't care. But when he's in the booth playing the character, why can't he play the character so it doesn't sound like himself? It's so unbelievably stupid to have these artists work for like 4 years to bring a character to life, and then the voice actor can't even fucking do a voice that sounds like anyone other than him. Imagine if Bugs Bunny was being cast for the first time ever, and they're like, we've got this character, he's called Bugs Bunny, he's a bunny rabbit. He's a bunny rabbit. And Chris Pine goes into the audition and goes, oh yeah, I'll just play him like me, Chris Pine. Huh. Hello. That's a carrot. And they go, oh, well, we'll give it to him because he's a celebrity. And it's like, well, that would be Bugs Bunny. Mickey Mouse. Well, he's a mouse. He's Mickey Mouse. Maybe you want to do him high-pitched because he's a mouse? Woo, 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 woo. Hello, everybody. Chris Pine's coming to the audition. He's going to play Mickey Mouse. How are you going to play him, Chris? Hey, Pluto. How about you and I go over there and go on a walk through the woods? Great, you got the part, Chris, because that's going to bring it. It's like fucking awful. It's just awful. I can't believe how many celebrities do cartoon character voices in movies today, and they all sound exactly like themselves and they give no performances whatsoever. None at all. And that doesn't mean Chris Pine can't be good in movies, but in this it's like you fucking don't sound like a king. You just sound exactly the same as you sounded in Star Trek and every other movie you've ever been in. It's terrible. It's fucking terrible. I can't stand that stuff. It's an insult to the artists. It's an insult to the animators. It's an insult to the musicians. It's an insult to the other voice actors in the world, people who could play the part. And then the last thing I'll say is the music. So 90% of the music, because this is a Disney sing-along, whatever, is crap. It's fucking terrible. It's like modern pop music, garbage, right? And there are bits where I genuinely like, you know, like someone scraping chalk along a chalkboard, like every part of me just tingled because, in the worst possible way, because there are people in it who just can't sing. Every once in a while, like there'll be people singing and then it'll cut to someone else who just sings a note or a bit of the melody, and I just, oh my God, like not only are they going, we're going to let everyone in of every race, which is fine as long as they get to actually have a genuine part, right? Something that's human. But now we're just going to let in people who can't sing so they can be represented as well. And it's like, I was sitting there thinking, this is supposed to be a 100-year celebration of Walt Disney. That's sad to go from Snow White being the first to this. Shouldn't things get better? Like, they can't even sing. And then you're putting in crap pop music. It barely sounds like an orchestra. It sounds like somebody composed a lot of it on a keyboard. And then on the end credits, they're showing images from all your favourite movies. Dumbo, Pocahontas, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and all the originals, Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. And I'm just watching it going, that's just embarrassing to have all of that compared to this. But the thing is compared to the best, this is really bad. But as its own movie, you know, if little kids watch it and whatever, it's not terrible. I don't want to emphasize it's a terrible movie. It's okay. It's a good story and it's got some heart and it's got an interesting kind of spin on capitalism, like I said. But the saddest thing is just when you go, there's a really great movie in there and there's a great story in there and there's an opportunity for a great character in there, or characters, but none of it comes to the surface. It's all the ingredients for a great meal, and the meal is made badly. The meal comes out burnt and tasting bad, and this didn't mix with that and that didn't mix with this, and you tried to put in too much pepper and too much salt and too much whatever, and you didn't put in enough sauce, and it's like you got all the ingredients, you didn't make the meal well. So that's the problem. But I didn't hate it. I definitely didn't hate it. I tend not to ever really hate Disney movies and stuff, like the animated ones. And I've got so much respect for the artists, even though it felt unfinished and it was no comparison to the other better ones. But I guess that's about all I want to say about Wish. I wish it had been a better film. There was one good song in it. It was a nice song, even though every time the character said this, which you'll know if you see it, I laughed because I thought it was so overdone the way they did that. This. But it felt again like a good song that wasn't performed that well. Like if you get a Beatles cover band and you're like, oh, the song's actually really good. These guys aren't doing it justice, but it's a good song. This felt like someone actually wrote a really nice song and then they popped it up, made it all modern poppy and damaged it. But there was some good in there. But anyway, is it great? No. Could it have been great? Yes. Is it nice that it nods to the original, the history of Disney? Yes, that's kind of nice. There's some nice memories in there. And was it nice to fall asleep in? Yeah, it was kind of nice. I kind of enjoyed the nap. And I didn't want to sleep. I don't normally sleep through films, but yeah, it kind of sent me to sleep. But look, if you have a family and you want to see something and your kids want to see it and you want to go out and you don't want to watch something on TV, then it's okay. It's all right. It's got some sweet kind of bits and pieces, I guess. And it's a good idea. Now, lastly, I'll just say, if you can find that Peter Pan episode, will somebody link it to me, please? Because I haven't seen it since I was like 6. But I know this either coincidentally is the same or it just totally fucking ripped it off. Anyway, look, Merry Christmas, everybody. I'll be back for more soon. Let's talk about some other stuff, maybe some Christmas stuff, maybe that new Eddie Murphy movie on Amazon Prime, because he doesn't make enough stuff nowadays. And I will see you all again soon.